This is the iPhone 16 Pro Max after 1 week, and I want to share not only my thoughts and opinions about the Pro Max, but also my wife's thoughts, mainly because she's the one using this as her main device. And obviously, throughout the past week, I've been also testing this out, making content. And throughout that period, I've also come to some thoughts and opinions about the Pro Max. And since, I have them because of using the smaller Pro, because last year I used the 15 Pro Max and this year I decided to use just the regular Pro as my main iPhone. But here's what, let's start off with what my wife has experienced with this from her 15 Pro Max to 16 Pro Max. In terms of design, there's been really no difference of the way she's kind of using the phone and handling it. It's a slightly larger display, 6.9 inch with slimmer bezels, and she does appreciate having that larger display because she's watching lots of content on her phone, watching lots of YouTube videos and all that good stuff. So having that slightly larger display has been great. The refresh rate is also great. That's something that I want to add to it. The refresh rate is also great. Coming from if you're using a phone that doesn't have a 120 hertz refresh rate display, you'll notice a difference, especially if it's from iPhone 16. From otherwise, everything else about the design has been the same for her. Like she likes the design. She likes the desert titanium as well. It's a nice kind of rose gold color-ish, and coming from natural titanium last year, I think this was a good color to go with this year. As for the camera control, the hardware and software, whatever, it has software to it too, but like having the hardware aspect of it, yeah, she doesn't use it. And for me, using it on my 16 Pro, with each day I've been using it less and less. So it's a cool thing to have, but I don't think it's either like you really use it or you don't use it at all. And my wife doesn't really use camera control. So there's that. Like if she's taking photos, which she takes a lot of photos with the 16 Pro Max, she's not really resorting to using the camera control. Whereas for me, like I know it's there, and since I'm reviewing tech and I'm talking about it, I try to use it, but sometimes, actually most times, I've been resorting to just not using camera control. So that's just what I want to share about the new camera control. Action button is still the mute switch, and I think for many people that I know that I talk with, it's been like a mute switch button. Obviously, there are lots of videos on YouTube. You can customize to whatever you want and all that good stuff. But for the people like around me, especially like in my community and my friends and family, they're all just using the action button as their mute switch. So I also wanted to put that out there as well. But everything else about this phone is, it's an iPhone. It's everything you can expect from an iPhone. If you want the largest of the Pros, you go with the Pro Max. If you don't need that larger display, then you go with the regular Pro. The software and performance has also been no different than the 15 Pro Max. The one thing that's kind of noticeable is when my wife uses it, she notices that there's no overheating or it doesn't get warm to the touch, whereas the 15 Pro Max would consistently just get warm, even if you're just watching a couple of YouTube videos or just browsing Twitter or whatever it is, or using the web, or even FaceTime. Especially during FaceTime calls, it would get very hot. So that's something that has been improved with the 16 Pro Max. Having iOS 18, Apple A18 Pro, all that stuff really makes no difference. If you're talking about me, because I use phones this is what I do on the daily. This is what I do as a full-time thing, talking about tech and using tech and all that stuff. For me, it's more important, but for just an average consumer, I guess, just someone who really uses a phone just for phone things, then it's completely okay. And I also mentioned Apple Intelligence, and she's like, well, I don't really care about Apple Intelligence, even if it's here or if it's not here. I want to pick up the phone. I would have waited for Apple. I'll put it this way: Apple Intelligence did not play a factor in picking up the 16 Pro Max at all. And I think that actually goes for a lot of people, because when I went to the Apple store, there wasn't too many people, but for the people there, it didn't really seem like they were kind of too interested in Apple Intelligence. They just wanted a new phone just because. And I'll be honest with you, if Apple Intelligence didn't even come out until the iPhone 17, many people wouldn't mind. They'd more be upset with the fact that Apple touted it as like an iPhone 16 feature, and they talked about so much that it didn't release with the iPhone 16. But we do have to understand that Apple Intelligence is an iOS 18 feature, not an iPhone 16 feature. If it's available on the 15 Pro and Pro Max, it's an iOS 18 feature. They unveiled it at WWDC. They never talked about iPhone 16 at the time because it wasn't unveiled back then. So it's clearly an iOS 18 feature. It's not here. It's going to come out. It's going to roll out in small parts in the next couple months. And it's just it's a separate story, separate video for another day. If you want to see a video of me just talking about Apple Intelligence and what I think about it so far, let me know in the comments down below. My wife's phone is not running developer beta or anything like that. I have the beta, so I do have like the first parts of Apple Intelligence on my 16 Pro. But again, I'm not using it until the public beta, or not the public beta, but the official Apple Intelligence comes out with iOS 18. I'm probably thinking 18.1. Once that comes out, then I'll kind of dive into using Apple Intelligence. Anyway, let's move on to the cameras. I mean, again, for just an average consumer, she takes lots of photos and videos, and there's no nitpicking around. So there's no going into RAW and using it for ProRes and using it for Dolby up to 4K, 120 frames per second. It's been great for her. It's been a great phone, reliable, just point and shoot. Like you go into the camera, and in this instance, I'm gonna use camera control, but you go into the camera app, you take a photo, and that's it. Or you take a video, and that's it. That's really all. Like there's no kind of nitpicking into it and all that stuff. So it's been awesome. For me, it's been even better because I kind of want to have a good ultra wide, and I'm happy that there's a 48 megapixel ultra wide camera sensor. So there is that. I'm glad that they finally upgraded just the quality itself. Telephoto lens, if it's there, I'm gonna use it. If it's not, like I'm not looking for a telephoto lens. If this Pro Max didn't have a telephoto lens or the Pro didn't, I'd be completely okay. But since it does, I'm gonna make use of it, right? But overall, camera quality has been great. And I think that's to go with the iPhones in general. The camera quality does perform like a champ. Battery life has been great. It lasts my wife all day long, and much better than the 15 Pro Max. I would notice like she'd be charging the phone midday, and it's crazy because at the end of the day now, she doesn't need to charge it. She can wake up the next morning, continue to use it without needing to put it on charge on a MagSafe charger overnight. But she does appreciate that there is faster MagSafe charging, because as of right now, spending more time, I'm in the office and my wife's at home too. So like we're close to having MagSafe chargers, and it really does work out. Obviously, if we're out on the go, we're gonna be using wired USB-C charging. But as of right now, MagSafe charging charges up or juices up our phones, and it's been a plus. It's been a thumbs up. It's been great. Keep up the battery life. I love it. I love it. It's obviously performs better than my 16 Pro, and that's what I've noticed too. And good job, Apple. Keep it up. I hope just the battery life keeps getting better with future iterations. And that's really it. I mean, we traded in the 15 Pro Max for the 16 Pro. We got I think we got a $650 trade-in. And the one thing I don't like, because the pricing here starts at $11.99 for 256 gigs, I think $13.99 for 512 gigs. And this model is 512 gigs. But I don't like how when you trade in an iPhone, Apple doesn't look at the storage. So whether you have 256 gigs or 512, the trade-in value is still the same. But when you're picking up the phone brand new, the storage is different and higher in price. If you go higher storage, you're paying a higher price. So I hope someday they'll take a look at the storage and actually care about that and give you more of a trade-in value. We'll see. That's just something I want to put out there. But overall, in the past week, and also if you want to check out these amazing cases from Benks to just give your phone some really nice style, I'll be leaving a link in the description down below. They've sponsored past videos, but these cases, I genuinely really like how they look. They're available on the 16 Pros and the 16 Pro Maxes, so definitely be sure to check them out. But overall, in the past week, my wife has definitely enjoyed using the 16 Pro Max, but I'll put it this way. There's no huge difference. There's no real, wow, this is awesome type of factor. It's just like you upgrade to the 16 Pro, it's like, oh, you have camera control? That's great. Slimmer bezels? this is cool having a slightly larger display. It's noticeable, but I mean, if I didn't have it, I'd be completely okay. There's nothing where it's like, wow, I miss my 15 Pro, or like I needed to upgrade this to the 16 Pro Max type of thing, because phone upgrades have become so iterative. The refinements, they're not huge upgrades anymore. They're more like small refinements year over year. Now, if you have something like a 13 Pro, in my opinion, 13 Pro or older, I think you're gonna get a really substantial upgrade. But if it's like 14, 15 series and you're going to the 16, I don't think it's much of a upgrade, too much. But that's really been it for the both of our thoughts and opinions. I mean, the same thoughts I have for the 16 Pro pretty much applies to the 16 Pro Max. Great camera, great battery, great display. And the reason why I want the 16 Pro, I've talked about in my past videos, is because it's a Pro in a smaller form factor. It's just easier for me to carry. So that's just me for the 16 Pro. But if you want the best of the best with the Pro Max, or with the Pros, you go with the Pro Max. I hope you guys did enjoy. Definitely be sure to check out my latest wallpaper pack. It's called Illusions 2.0. Links will be in the description down below. It goes a long way helping out the channel a lot. And also definitely be sure to Superman that subscribe button. My goal is to hopefully get to 45,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and I do believe that's possible. And it definitely will happen with the support of all of you. And definitely be sure to comment down below your thoughts, opinions, whatever it is about iPhone 16, or if you want to see different types of videos, let me know in the comments down below now that I have the time to kind of plan different types of video ideas I couldn't have been able to do before. So let me know in the comments down below, and definitely be sure to share this video because it really does help out the channel and it will help push my content out to more people. That's been it from me, and I'll catch you guys in the next episode.